Okay, to fill up the skin. So I understand fat real well, so I can say the F word. So if I say fat, I'm not offending you, I'm speaking from somebody who used to be overweight. And when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. If that's the sentence you take home with you tonight, you're going to learn a lot. You're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. Food is a conduit for nutrition. So if you're giving your body enough nutrition, the brain says, I'm cool, I'm happy. When you don't give it enough nutrition, that's when you start getting cravings. Now, there's a couple of things that are a little weird about food, and I wish it wasn't this way, but it is. The primary fuel that our brain and our body uses is what? You know? Glucose. Sugar, exactly. Type of glucose. Glucose is a type of sugar. There's different types of sugar. Glucose, fructose, maltose, galactose. So we want to make sure that we're giving the body some glucose, but not a lot. Because what happens is you eat glucose. Now let's take table sugar. We'll start there. Table sugar is called sucrose. Sucrose is half glucose, half fructose. So I give you some table sugar. You eat it, the glucose goes into the cells, and the cells utilize it as fuel. The brain, the muscle cells, they use it as fuel, and that's good. The fructose, it's a problem. Fructose isn't used as fuel. Fructose has to be converted into glucose and then used as fuel. With me so far? I want to bog you down in chemistry here. But the fructose has to be converted into glucose. So what happens is, your liver does that. And your liver can do some of it. Your liver can do about 25 grams a day. It's not a lot. After 25 grams, the liver goes, this is way too much, man. I'm going to do something with this. So the liver takes the fructose, and one of the waste products in the conversion is called uric acid. Now, uric acid gets in your joints, and it hurts. I'm a chiropractor. What do I deal with all day, every day? Pain. Okay. So people come in and they say, Doc, my neck hurts, my back hurts, and my team of doctors and I, we do some great adjustments on it where we open up the nerve supply, unpinch the nerves, and they say, Doc, that's great. But you have to take responsibility as a patient. Because if you're sucking down fructose, you're causing uric acid to form, getting in the joints, and you're being counterproductive with what we're trying to do. You so far? Fructose converts into uric acid. Uric acid prevents the body from producing nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels. Your brain, sex organs, muscles, eyeballs, everything gets this good rush of blood. If you're eating a lot of fructose, it prevents the nitric oxide production. You don't get good circulation. Problem. Now let's assume we eat glucose and our body uses it as fuel, but all of a sudden we can't take in any more glucose, I'm sorry. Can't take in any more glucose. What's happened? Something has to be done with it. So the glucose gets stored as glycogen. I'm going to get over to chemistry real fast here, I promise. Glucose gets stored as glycogen. Glycogen is your reserve tank of energy. It's in your liver, it's in your muscles. Once all the glycogen reserve tanks are filled up, what happens? You're still sucking down sugar. Body converts it into triglycerides, which is stored as fat. So when you have high triglycerides, anybody ever have that? Okay. High triglycerides, probably because you're eating too much sugar. Let's go back downstream, right? You're eating the sugar, glucose is used as fuel, converts it to glycogen, glycogen gets converted into triglycerides, triglycerides get stored as fat. So I don't want to lower your triglycerides, I want to lower why you have high triglycerides. Make sense? Big difference. If I just lower the triglycerides, it doesn't solve the problem. The problem is sugar. Anybody ever hear of agave nectar? All right, that's good, right? Everybody says, "Ooh, it's good, it's good. It doesn't spike your blood sugar. It must be good." You know why it doesn't spike your blood sugar? It's mostly fructose. Uh-oh. Now we got a problem. So it doesn't go into the blood system. It goes into the fructose that cycle I just talked about. And so you don't get the big spike. You're causing liver damage. High fructose corn syrup, about 55% fructose. Agave nectar, 85% fructose. So it's way worse than high fructose corn syrup. Yet it's sold as a health food. It's not. So don't be duped into saying, oh, it doesn't spike my blood sugar, I can do agave nectar. It doesn't work that way. Okay. So tonight we're going to try to dispel a lot of myths. You look guilty over there.
I was going to buy it last week and I didn't.
Good thing you did it. Good thing. See? Just saved your liver. Your liver saying, thank you. So that's how we gain weight. This is why high-protein diets, or why high-protein diets work. Because the protein has to go through a whole bunch of steps in order to even, and eventually the protein can be converted into glucose, called gluconeogenesis. So proteins and fats, your body has ways to produce glucose if you're not putting it in the body. So don't worry about that. You're going to get plenty of glucose. And when your body does that, you become a fat-burning machine. Because you're not giving it glucose, it has to get the glucose from somewhere. It gets it from burning up fat.
So is the fat burning quicker more than the protein, or breaking down faster than protein?
Usually the fat's broken down faster than the protein, absolutely yes. Through the process called gluconeogenesis. Pretty neat. Where does that happen? Your liver. Where does everything happen? Your liver. That's why you don't want to mess with your liver. Once you start messing with your liver, you develop some real serious problems. Because your liver, if it gets all clogged up with uric acid and fat deposits, it can't do its job. And now you have a whole host of other problems. When I went to school 30, 35 years ago, we were taught, I remember doing dissection, we cut open the cadavers, we'd take out a liver, it was all fatty, and they said, diagnosis, alcoholism. Very clear. Fatty liver, alcoholism. We knew that, there was no question. Now we're finding fatty liver in 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds. Where's it coming from? High fructose corn syrup.
Say it again, what?
Hey, what?
Say it again.
How far back? I'm Dr. Joe.
The last word.
High fructose corn syrup. Yes. The high fructose corn syrup, we think, is causing the fatty liver now. Too much sugar. You ever watch kids TV? 40% of the commercials, I just did a radio show on this actually, I recorded it today, it'll air in a couple of weeks. 40% of kids' TV commercials are for sweet and sugary snacks and foods. 40%, that's about 1 in 2. I watched it now and every other commercial is for this. I said, yeah. So unless it's Christmas time, then it's toys. That make sweet things. Right? So the kids are watching this and they're going, I want that, I want that. Now why do we want to eat sugar? Let's go back a little bit further. Why do we want to even eat sugar? When you eat sugar, what? It's fuel, but it also stimulates the pleasure centers in your brain. Now when you stimulate the pleasure centers in your brain, you do stupid things. Don't raise your hands, but who has ever done something stupid in the name of pleasure? Don't raise your hands. I don't want to know. La, 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 la. So what happens is those pleasure centers start firing off and you go, oh baby, oh more of that. And it's interesting, they did a study, and this is cool. Well, who's the doctor? I was trying to think of him on the way over. Anyway, did research. And the research was they took rats and they fed them cocaine. Got them addicted to cocaine. Pretty easy to do. Then they took away the cocaine, gave them sugar. Got them hooked on sugar. Then they said, all right, rats, here's cocaine or sugar. Either one you want. Which one do you prefer? 100% of the rats took what?
Sugar.
Wow.
Wow.
It's more addicting than cocaine. So you think you have a problem with sugar? You do. Absolutely. And you got to stop. And how do we get somebody off cocaine? How do we get somebody off alcohol? We stop giving it to them. How do we get people off sugar? Stop giving it to them. There you go. But here's the trick, because if you're like me, if it's in the house, you eat it. I do. I want to anyway. So what's my trick? Get it out of the house. Ooh, a little story. A couple years ago, somebody gave me vegan chocolate chip cookies. Gluten-free vegan chocolate chip cookies. Heaven. Had them in my pantry. Sitting there watching TV. And I'll be darned if I didn't hear them call. Come eat me! Come eat me! And I fought it. And I fought it. And there was only one thing I could do. I took the cookies, I have a stream in my backyard, and I threw them into the stream. It's like a movie, right? Let's kill the bad ones! You know? And I threw the cookies in the stream. That's how bad it is. And I'm good at this. I wasn't always, but I'm better at this than you are probably. And I had trouble with it. So you have to understand that you have a problem. And you got to stop it. So you got to get the bad food out of the house. Now what would be considered sugar? Well, sugar, of course. Breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, sugar, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Anything with a carb in it.
Anything with a carb in it. There you go. So what happens is you want to eat, and I grew up Italian, Hoboken, New Jersey, best bread in the world. I've been all over the world. Nobody beats New York bread. And if I have a piece of bread, what do I want more of? Bread.
Yeah.
Of course. So I can't have a little bit of bread. Years ago, I was dating a gal, and she asked me to go to an AA meeting with her. She's admitted to me she was a recovered alcoholic. Well, I go to AA meeting with her. I said, yeah. I went, and it was wild. Because, first of all, I saw 4 patients there. And a really famous celebrity, by the way, which I can't say because they said if you go to a meeting, you can never say who you saw here. So I went to the AA meeting, and the one rule of AA is what? You can't drink. Make sense? So if you're in AA, you can't have a drink. Because immediately you're off the wagon, you hand in your chips, you start over again. What do you do every time you eat sugar? Metaphorically, you hand in your chips and start over again. Can't do that. Okay? But what was interesting is I saw a lot of people drinking diet sodas. Skinny people. Drinking diet sodas at the AA meeting. And I thought, they're skinny. Why do they do this? That's what started my research years ago into a lot of chemistry and artificial sweeteners. So aspartame breaks down to aspartic acid, phenylalanine, and methyl esters. Again, don't worry about the chemistry. Methyl esters is methanol. Methanol is what?
Wood alcohol.
Wood alcohol. They were getting drunk at the AA meeting. So I went up to the instructor and I said, listen, you got to give me 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes. I want to teach chemistry class in 10 minutes here and I'll be out of your hair. He says, you can't. You're not an alcoholic. So I guess I had to go drink, get drunk, sober up, then I could speak at the AA meeting. It doesn't make any sense. Bureaucracy drives me crazy. But I want you to understand that I don't want you substituting one addiction with another. And that's exactly what they did. They substituted the alcohol for methanol, which is wood alcohol, which does the same thing. Following? So the reason Lori made you this wonderful food tonight is because I want you to taste food that you can eat that isn't stimulating those dopamine, those pleasure receptor sites in your brain. And after you eat something like this, you feel good. You say, I feel comfortable. I don't have to feel full. I don't have to have dessert. Because what happens is if you give the body enough nutrition, you're getting enough stimulation of the brain. When you don't give it enough nutrition, it wants that high. It wants the sugar. It wants the dessert. Makes sense now, right? So if I give you a big meal of nutrition, you're not going to have those sugar cravings. And it works. Why? Remember, I used to be fat. Stretch marks across my back, my legs, across my chest. I get being fat. And I understand what happens with the brain. And I don't have trouble every day with food anymore. I have trouble every meal with food. Okay? Think about that. You say, oh, well, Dr. Joe, you know all this stuff, and it means you're different than me. No, I'm not. I got pleasure centers in my brain. I want to get those babies hopping. So I got to be careful not to start. Once I start, it's hard to stop. Okay? So here's a couple of tricks. Let me back up a little bit. You're eating right now. It's going to go into your stomach. You're not. You guys don't get fed. You bad. So what happens is, you're going to eat food. It's going to go into your stomach. Your stomach is going to say, okay, this is food. I like this. And it's going to release a hormone called leptin. Leptin is going to go from your stomach into your brain. I think it's your hypothalamus it hits. And the hypothalamus says, I'm happy. I'm comfortable. I got lots of nutrition. I'm not hungry anymore. Then it goes into your small intestine. A bunch of stuff goes on there. It's a whole other lecture on digestion. And as it moves down, the body says, okay, I used up that nutrition. I got to get hungry again. I got to tell Joe to start eating again. So what happens is my small intestine releases a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin sends a message to my brain and says, all right, time to eat again. So when I first heard this research, my first thought was, what if we just injected somebody with leptin? They'd never be hungry. This is brilliant. I'm not. So what would happen would be, if I gave you injections of ghrelin, because that was what the original research was doing, your brain became resistant to leptin. You got resistant to leptin. And so you'd send leptin up to the brain would go, you keep sending this up to me, I'm tired of it, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. What's diabetes? Type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance. You ate so much sugar that the pancreas insulin is trying to bring sugar to the cells, and you bring so much sugar to the cells says, I can't take any more. I'm going to resist you from bringing me any more sugar. You become insulin resistant. Too much of it, you become resistant. Too much leptin, leptin resistant. So that idea of injecting somebody with leptin to make them feel full wouldn't work. Because you just want more and more and more. So you have to keep that balance. So when you eat, it takes time to get the message from your stomach to your brain. How long do you think it takes to get the message from your stomach to your brain that you're full? 20 minutes. Somebody's listening to my lectures. Good. 20 minutes from here to here. So here's some tricks. And I said this in a radio show today. It was brilliant. Diets don't work. Lifestyles do. I'm going to write a book with that title. I love that. Remember that, Sharon. That's my next book. Diets don't work. Lifestyles do. Okay? So you have to get the bad food out of the house. That's lifestyle number 1. Number 2, before every meal, I want you to ruin your appetite. Ruin it. And you ruin it by eating a snack. That's easy. You eat a snack, not sugar, 20 minutes before you have dinner, or lunch, or breakfast. Why? 20 minutes, get the message from here to here, then you can make logical decisions. Because all of us, I'm assuming, have made very poor nutrition decisions based on the pleasure centers and the leptin not getting to the brain in time. So Thanksgiving is a perfect idea. You sit down, you eat 20 minutes, I can't move, I'm so full, what? I'll never eat again, right? Everybody swears that, right? If you eat for 20 minutes, you're full. If you ate and waited 20 minutes, you'd be full. Get it? So that's your trick number 1 on how to lose weight. You have to make sure that you have enough time for the messages to get to the brain. Backing up to fructose. Fructose shuts down your production of leptin, but stimulates your production of ghrelin. Remember ghrelin? What does it do? It makes you hungry. So when you're eating fructose and sugars, it does the exact opposite. You don't feel full, you feel more hungry. Pretty wild, huh? So no more sugars. We get the sugar out of the way. So we got to get the messages getting from the stomach to the brain. We have to stop eating the bad food, to get it out of the house, and we have to give your body tons of nutrition. Okay? Let's talk about hormones for a second. 2 big hormones, testosterone and estrogen. We'll start there. Testosterone builds muscle mass. And not just biceps and triceps and pecs and abs. How about your heart? Your heart's a muscle. How about your sex organs? Muscles. Blood vessels, muscles. So you need testosterone to get those to build muscle mass. Teaspoon of coconut oil to a cup of rice. Cook it like you normally would. Refrigerate it. Don't eat it yet. Refrigerate it. Next day, take it out of the refrigerator, heat it up, and eat it. In that process of cooking with the coconut oil and refrigerating it, you create something called resistant starches. And when you do that, you absorb 50 to 60% less of the sugar and the calories than you would if you ate it the other way. Now, this is not permission to eat twice as much rice. You know what you think? Dr.Joe said, I can eat all rice I want. I didn't say that. We're not married. I didn't say that. Okay? Potatoes the same way. Cook your potatoes, add a little coconut oil, refrigerate it, heat it up the next day. Now, don't do that unless you have to. Okay? Maybe you're making a meal for somebody else and you don't want it to be weird. So you can do this and then they don't even know you've created a resistant starch.
And don't heat it in a microwave.
Don't ever heat it in a microwave. Santa Maria. Don't ever heat it in a microwave. Especially plastics in a microwave. So if you take plastic and put it in a microwave, a little bit of that plastic is going to melt into the food and create something called xenoestrogen. Xeno meaning foreign, estrogen meaning estrogen. It's a foreign estrogen up to 200 or 300 times stronger than human estrogen. Remember estrogen? Cause you lay down fat, fat produces estrogen, estrogen. Okay, remember that? Okay, good. Taking you back there. So, never ever under any circumstances use a microwave. If you do, don't. But if you still do, don't. If you still do, no plastic. I'm begging you, please. Plastic should never go in a microwave. Even microwave-safe plastic. Not a good idea. So plastic will melt and you put a little plastic wrap over it just to cover it. No. Don't use a microwave, anyway. But the plastic will actually increase, essentially, your estrogen intake. Not a good idea, is it? So don't use microwaves. They change the molecular structure of the food. It creates new things we've never seen as humans. For all the time we've been on this earth, we create these chemicals that are microwaved and literally changing the molecular structure. Pretty wild. Okay? So no more microwaves, especially plastic. You shouldn't eat plastic anyway. Okay? If you do eat plastic, don't heat in it. So don't take hot soup and store it in a plastic container, because it's going to melt the plastic. So plastic, very bad. Air fresheners, perfumes, phthalates, very bad. Sounds like everything's bombarding you here all of a sudden, doesn't it? Let's talk about water. When you were a baby, everybody was a baby? When you were a baby, there's a part of your brain that controlled hunger, and there's a part of your brain that controlled thirst. So what happened was, if you remember being a baby, or if you ever had a baby, or were ever around a baby, they want water. Give me water, give me water, I want to drink, I want to drink, I want to drink, right? Always sippy cups everywhere. As you become a toddler and tween, somewhere in there, the part of the brain that controls hunger and the part of the brain that controls thirst grow together. So now we got a problem. You get a craving, a hankering for something, and you can drink water. Boring. Chocolate cake. Yummy. And you think, which one should I take?
Ooh.
And God said, take the water.
Now eat your cake and start.
I didn't say it. Okay? I'm a boss. So what happens is you're not hungry most of the time. You're thirsty. Water's boring. Chocolate cake's fun. What do? You pick the chocolate cake. So remember that. So here's another trick I'm going to teach you how to lose weight. Before every meal, as you're ruining your appetite, 20 minutes before with a snack. Snack can be an avocado, a handful of nuts, okay? Fruits, vegetables, nuts, or seeds. Not a lot of fruit though. Fruit has fructose, about 3-4 pieces a day maximum. Ruin your appetite before every meal. So what happens is, why don't you drink a glass of water? That's easy, right? You drink the water, let the stimulate the part of the brain that you're probably thirsty, not hungry, you'll eat less. Fun little trick, right? You can do chia seeds. Okay, if you take some chia seeds, whip them up, grind them, mix them with the water, or pour some coconut milk on them and eat them, that'll make you feel full too. But the thing that makes you feel full is not sugar. The thing that makes you feel full is fat. So if you eat a meal and it's just kale, you eat this much kale, you're not hungry, you're not satisfied, because fat is the thing that sends the messages up to the brain, makes you feel full. So that's why if you're going to eat salads, which you should every day, at least one meal a day, I recommend you use oil in your salad dressing. Because if you're using fat-free salad dressing, it's not going to work. A, it's sweetened with a lot of sugar, and B, you need the fat to stimulate the brain. Fat in moderation is not going to make you fat. Sugar will. So if you look at the diets, all the crazy diets that are out there, they're taking carbohydrates out and saying eat proteins and eat fats. Why? Works. Is it good for you? That's what you do. If you're going to eat a lot of meat, eating meat will make you lose weight. Well, it'll constipate you and kill you, but it'll make you lose weight. You die pretty, I guess. But Dr. Atkins had it right way back when. He was the guy who started this whole thing. He was right in his thought process. I disagree with his implementation. And I was scheduled to debate him.
Wow.
And he died. Did I win? I don't know, I guess.
Oh no.
But if you're going to eat meat, I don't. I've been a vegan for 30 years now. I'm not asking you to be a vegan. If I counted all my vegans that I know, I can count them on one hand, 2 of them right here. So, and I know 1 in California. And that's about it. So I'm not asking you to be a vegan. I think it's a good idea if you do. But if you're going to eat animal products, I want you to eat the animal products your grandmother ate. The only thing available in our society that's similar to the meats and dairy products your grandmother ate is organic. Because then you're not risking steroids, chemicals, hormones, antibiotics, pesticides, herbicides, and tranquilizers, which can also affect your body. So even though you're eating meat, your body is going through the gluconeogenesis, the fats and the proteins, and you'll lose weight, but you have the downside of all the toxic chemicals that are in the meat. So going to eat meat organic only. Same thing with dairy products, same thing with eggs. So if you eat eggs, eat organic eggs. That's a great snack before your dinner. So you have an organic egg before one meal, and you have an avocado before another meal. Wow, and a handful of nuts before another meal. You're going to eat substantially less food and feel good. Olives are great. High fat, right? Olives are great too. Try to get them in glass jars, not in cans. Why? Bisphenol A. Bisphenol A is endocrine disruptor. Mess with your hormones. If you buy them in a can, here's the rule. You gotta wash them. Wash them really well. Put them in a strainer, rinse them off for a few minutes. Try to wash everything off if you can. Okay? So far?
What about the lid?
The what?
The glass jar has a metal lid.
The glass jar has a metal lid. There's very, very little that you're going to be exposed to. Okay? Don't store your food in plastic. If you store it in plastic, I mean, unless it's lettuce or something you put in the refrigerator, that's okay. But don't freeze things in plastic because it's going to scratch the sides of the plastic and get into your body. Yes?
How does that work with the rice again? You said don't eat it the first day you cook it.
Right.
What happens once you get it cold?
Once you make it cold, you create something called the resistant starch. And the resistant starches aren't absorbed by your body, they're passed out.
And with 1 cup.
1 cup of rice to about a teaspoon of coconut oil. And then just cook it regularly, same thing with potatoes. Whatever you do, about that, a cup or 2 of potatoes and coconut. It's not an exact science, it doesn't have to be exactly this to this to get the results. It'll work as long as you cool it and then heat it again.
And it's not about the al dente or less?
No, it's not about al dente or firmer or softer. It's about the cooking, the cooling, and the reheating again.
Thank you.
Okay? We're eating it cold. I don't even think you have to reheat it. Okay? Let's talk about stabilizing your blood sugar. Anybody do this? You're feeling good, then you crash, then you eat sugar, then you feel good, then you crash, and then you eat sugar. Okay? Have to stabilize your blood sugar. Cinnamon is excellent for that. If you're going to buy any herbs, cinnamon, spices, you want to get organic only. Now, one of the big spice companies starting this year is going all organic. I forget which one it was. I don't want to say it because I'm being recorded. I don't want to get the wrong one. But one of the major spice companies is going all organic, which made me so happy. Because when it's not organic, many times it's irradiated. They zap it with radiation to kill off any pathogens that might be in there. But whenever you radiate something, you change the molecular structure. Remember microwaves? So if you're going to do herbs and spices like cinnamon, you want to do organic only again. Now the nice part is cinnamon stabilizes blood sugar. I do this with my diabetic patients. I'll tell them you have to start eating sugar every day, cinnamon. They're already doing that, that's why they're diabetic. So, hey, Dr.Joe, you're great, I love you. Cinnamon's going to stabilize the blood sugar, so take a half a teaspoon of cinnamon if you would with every meal even. And you'll be amazed how much better you feel. So maybe make a cinnamon tea and drink it. Ginger is wonderful. Ginger is an anti-inflammatory, and ginger is very satisfying to the body. So what I do is I take organic ginger, wash it, I don't even peel it, just wash it a little bit, put it in a food processor, cover it about 1/3 with lemon juice. Puree it. Now puree it for a few minutes. You want to break up all those strings that are in there. Break up the strings, I put it in an ice cube tray and freeze it. Okay, take it out. We just put it however you want to do it. Take it out, make tea with it. Use it in your food. It's wonderful. Yes?
So you don't kill it?
You don't have to peel it, no. Because I'm lazy. So, okay. Berries are kind of like free foods. You can eat as many berries as you want. Try to do organic again, because if they have little bumps in them, guess where the pesticides lay, right? Those little bumps in those grooves where the seeds are. So you want to flush those out. Okay? So ginger is very satisfying to the body as well. Hot peppers. Hot peppers raise your metabolism. That's what we want to do, right? Is raise our metabolism. Proteins do it, fats do it, and hot peppers do it. Pretty neat stuff. So if you eat a lot of hot peppers, that's actually a good thing. Increases circulation, increases the dopamine, the pleasure centers in your brain are firing off when you eat hot peppers, and it'll increase your metabolism as well. Being cold will increase your metabolism. I don't like that. Okay? But if you're cold, your body's going to increase the metabolism. Yes?
What was the ratio again with the ginger and the lemon?
About 1/3 lemon and the rest ginger. Like 1/3 to 2/3, I guess. 1/3 to 3/3, yeah.
You grind the whole lemon?
Both it. You can grind up the whole lemon. Again, if you're going to do that, you want to make sure it's organic. Or just peel out the lemon yellow part of the outside and throw it in, because the outside may have some chemicals on it. Okay? On the back.
Wouldn't hot pepper raise your blood pressure?
Hot pepper would lower your blood pressure.
Really?
Yes, because hot pepper opens up your blood vessels. And as the blood vessels open, first law of hydrodynamics, second law, first law. First law. Okay, there you go. First law of hydrodynamics, the bigger the tube, the lower the pressure. Make the tube smaller, raise the pressure. Follow? So that's good. Now, let's talk about blood pressure for a second. If you're eating a lot of sugar, what's the one thing you want to stay away from if you have high blood pressure? You want to stay away from salt, exactly. May not be true. White salt especially, definitely stay away from it. But regular, if you're using air-dried sea salt or Himalayan salt, over 70 different minerals in there. So that's good for you. So I do recommend you use about a quarter teaspoon of Himalayan or air-dried sea salt every day. But if you're eating sugar, this is cool new research. You're eating sugar, your body produces insulin, insulin drives the sugar into the cells, right? Insulin contains a molecule of magnesium, molecules of magnesium. Magnesium relaxes your blood vessels and opens them up, which will lower your blood pressure. Now we're finding sugar is as bad or worse than salt for high blood pressure. So you see how sugar is just being vilified everywhere we go? It just ain't good. You got to stay away from the sugar for many, many, many reasons. And I've had a lot of people, they cut out their sugar, bam, blood pressure drops. Pretty nifty stuff. Okay? So cinnamon is great for stabilizing the blood sugar and giving you energy throughout the day. Gymnema, you've probably never heard of gymnema. It's an herb, I think it's from Africa, and the local tribes would eat it if they had to travel long distances to maintain their energy throughout the day. So now we can buy it as a supplement form. I have it in my office. And you take the gymnema, and that'll stabilize the blood sugar as well, and then it helps with the cravings too. If your blood pressure crashes, you want a quick burst. You don't want to go through gluconeogenesis. You want that, boom, you want that sugar right away. And you get that sugar from, you know, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas. So that makes it hard to resist again.
How do you spell it?
Gymnema, G-Y-M-N-E-M-A. N-E-M-A.
So you don't.
Another question? Yes.
Have you ever heard about the Master Cleanse?
The what? Master Cleanse? Master Cleanse is great. In a Master Cleanse, you're drinking lemon juice, cayenne pepper, and some grade B maple syrup. Okay? It's like, kind of like a lemonade with pepper in it. And you can do that for a day, you can do it for 3 days, you can do it for 10 days if you want, but that's all you do. And then what happens is it cleans out the body. So it's very good, but again, it's not something you can do as a whole lifestyle. You can't live on Master Cleanse.
I was going to ask you. I used one of those to get rid of weight.
Yes.
I stayed for 20 days and I came back with free
Oh yeah.
since then. But how long will it take me to become not addicted to sugar anymore?
Usually 3 days. If you go through a cleanse of about 3 days, you'll lose your cravings. That's about how long it takes to get over a craving. Okay. Now here's another trick if you can do it, and this works really, really, really well. And it's called intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting. So what happens is, you ate some food tonight. It's wonderful. And in about 8 hours, that food will be burned up through your body. And then your body's going to say, I need some more fuel. Where do I go? Let's go to the fat. Okay? Problem is, most of us eat every 8 hours. If you went to bed at, 10 o'clock tonight, you wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, you have breakfast. So your body doesn't go into that fat-burning mode. So we got to go longer than 8 hours of not eating so that we can go into fat-burning mode. So it's something called intermittent fasting. So a neat little way to do this is pick 8 hours, and this is the ultimate way to do it. Then I'll teach you a way to, it's a little hard to do this way. Pick 8 hours in a day, and that's when you eat. You don't eat for the other 16 hours. So it's not hard to do. I mean, if you wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning, if you have your first meal at 10 o'clock in the morning, and your last meal at 6 o'clock at night, there's 8 hours. And after your first 8 hours of not eating, you start to metabolize and burn fat. So intermittent fasting is a great way to cleanse the body, get over addictions, get over sugar cravings, and get your body to learn how to burn fat. So if you want to go to intermittent fasting, you can do that. Now, let's assume you can't go 16 hours without food. Let's go 10 hours. Got to go past 8 hours. That's the goal. So we go 10 hours. Right? We did that. Do that for a week. Now let's try going 11 hours. Let's go 12 hours. And see where you're comfortable. When you find that point where you can go more than 8 hours without eating, you now become a fat-burning machine. How cool is that? And it's a lot easier than exercise. Yes?
So some of my information may be mixed up a bit, but I've heard that if I don't eat my breakfast in the morning, my body goes into lower
metabolism, yeah.
Survival mode,
right.
And I get fat.
Shut that off. Okay, I've heard that too. However, I've tried both, and the intermittent fasting works.
Gotcha.
Eating regular small meals throughout the day doesn't. And the reason I don't subscribe to that theory is that I put something in my stomach. Let's assume I put a protein in my stomach. Put some nuts in my stomach. It's going to take 6 hours or so to get from my stomach into my small intestine. So if I'm having small meals every 3 hours, the food is already there. I'm putting more food on top of it. Then I put more food on top of that. And none of it ever gets digested properly. Okay? Because the stomach says, do I pass out the stuff that I ate 6 hours ago? Do I wait for the stuff you just put in 3 hours ago? Oh, here comes some more food. So I find that giving your body a chance to get the food out of the stomach into the small intestine works best. I've heard all the research, I've read all the research, and one says intermittent fasting, one says small meals throughout the day. The only one that makes sense to me is the intermittent fasting, and personal experience. Okay. Works real well.
Do you have information on your website or whatever about intermittent fasting?
I don't think I have anything on my website yet?
Maybe there's something a little bit about it, but
Might be. I don't know if I have a whole lot of research on it yet.
in your new book you're talking about.
The new book I talk about it, yeah. I have a new book coming out soon. Said that a few times, haven't I? No, it really is. We're in like the final third edit. Or the final fifth edit. I don't know how many edits it is, but this is the final one, and I promise, until the next one. So, but you know, it's kind of like a painting. You never, when is it done? I read it, I edit it, okay, I'm ready for this. Let me just throw something about the new research on sugar and magnesium. I gotta throw that in there. Oh, because there's always new research coming out. So I'm gonna have to stop at some point, get the book out, and then start the next book. So, but it'll be a next book about intermittent fasting. Okay? It's a really great book.
Revised edition.
Do what?
Revised.
Revised edition. I'll just keep revising that thing forever, man. So, yes.
How do you feel not to overeat if you've gone 8 hours or 10 hours without eating? How do you not overeat at that point?
Oh, you're not famished. That's a good question. Start out with something simple. What I do is I start out with Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Okay? And now I'm going to talk about that next. Okay. Super Greens and Essential Source packed with nutrients. About 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables in here, prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and a complete multivitamin. 1 scoop. This has wheatgrass, barley grass, and alfalfa grass. No gluten, because the wheat grasses don't have gluten in it. Chlorella and spirulina, which is the best source of omega-3 fatty acids in the world. And then we add dulse. Dulse is seaweed to give you iodine. Every cell in your body needs iodine. We have found iodine receptor sites on all the cells in the body. We don't know why. We haven't gotten to that research yet. We know it's there. We know you need it. We don't know why you need it. So don't argue with the body. Give it what it needs. And most people in this country especially have almost no iodine. Maybe in salt. And that's not even a good source of iodine. Not a good form of iodine. So I start out my day with this. And then I'll add some, I use coconut milk because I like coconuts. Coconut has medium chain fatty acids, which is good for your metabolism, and it's also good for your immune system. So this will load you up with nutrients. Remember how we started the show? The lecture? Think about a radio show. I started the lecture by saying, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. So what if I just gave you a ton of nutrition to start your day? Perfect. And then what happens usually is I'll get to work, I'll be seeing patients, and I'll look at my hand and I'll start doing this. I'll start getting just a little shaky. And I'll know my blood sugar's dropping. Then I'll have my snack. My snack could be an avocado, which I do a lot of because that's easy and quick and cheap. I'll do an avocado, I'll mix maybe some nutritional yeast in there. You know what that is? Nutritional yeast loaded with B vitamins, loaded with proteins, amino acids actually, which is the best broken down proteins. And it works wonderful. So I'll take an avocado, a little air-dried sea salt, smash it up, maybe some olive oil in there, some coconut oil, and I'll eat that. That holds me over easily to lunch. It's not a problem because there's a lot of fat. Lunch, almost every day, is a salad. So I'm teaching you how to save a ton of money while losing weight. So whatever your motivation is, get there. Salad, olives, chickpeas, more nutritional yeast, extra virgin olive oil or coconut oil, and apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar, I really want it to be your new best friend. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's so good. This stuff is awesome. Stimulates your metabolism, it helps your digestion, it does everything. If you go to the website, whatever company makes it, go to their website, they have tons and tons of what it does. And it does. What it does. Okay? So that's how I do my salad almost every day. My staff laughs at me because I sit back in my office and we have patient gowns, we do exams and x-rays, and I'll take a patient gown, I'll put it on backwards. And I'll be sitting there eating salad, and whenever a new employee comes in, they'll go, what the heck? And they just walk out. They're like, what's wrong with this guy? So, but I don't want to get, salad dressing on my shirt. So, but salad, that holds me easily today. Why? I'm not hungry for food, I'm hungry for nutrition. And in the salad, make whatever you want to throw in there. Lettuce, cucumbers, tomatoes, broccoli, I don't care, throw it in there. And now you're giving yourself so much nutrition, and the brain is working better. Because if you ever listen to my radio show, I don't know what the questions are going to be. I'm on the air, and my screener takes the call, and it says, whatever, Sharon from Marietta has a question about toenail fungus, whatever it is, And I'll say, hey Sharon, how can I help you today? Sharon can go in any direction she wants. She's live on the air. We have an 8-second delay. So if you ever hear somebody drop, I drop them because they're saying something that you shouldn't have heard on the air. It's only happened once, actually, my whole career. So I don't know what it is. How's my brain going to access and process all this stuff? I have to go through a Rolodex for you old people. I got to go through a Rolodex
That's right.
to access that information and pull it out. So it's not that my brain works better. It's that most people's brain is working worse. Follow that? Where do you get your energy from? I'm in my mid-50s. How do you get your energy? I've done 2 radio shows already, did a bunch of stuff today, saw patients, and now I'm here. Where do you get that energy? This is normal. This isn't special, this is normal. But most people aren't normal, so they don't know what it looks like. When I donate blood, they look at my blood, they say, I've never seen blood so red. It's because you've never seen normal blood before. You've seen toxic blood. And I donate blood a lot. I figure somebody's going to score big.
I like that.
But I don't mind donating blood. I think it's a good thing. So. And as a man, one of the problems we have as men is we can build up too much iron in our blood. Too much iron in the blood can oxidize and actually could lead to heart disease. So it's a good idea for men, I always say, to donate blood. If you have a good diet, you're getting plenty of iron. I get plenty of iron. And so it's okay to give up, a gallon or 2 every now and then. And what'll happen is your body just regenerates it and rebuilds it. And it's a good way to just kind of clean the system. With me so far? Okay. How about some questions? I can go on for hours. So. 2 questions. No, only 1. All right.
Somebody was saying something about coconut milk having like a bad ingredient in it.
Carrageenan. Some coconut milks have carrageenan. Carrageenan comes from seaweed, but it's a major inflammatory component. So if you read the ingredients on the coconut milk and it says carrageenan, don't eat it. Second question.
Alright, and then like for the organic hormone-free like meats and stuff like that, even though they're hormone-free, are you still consuming like the hormones that the animal made?
Of course, absolutely.
Okay, so
I mean,
either way you're getting hormones.
You're getting hormones no matter what.
Okay.
Yeah. If I took a slice of my thigh out and cooked it, it would have hormones in it because I'm a being.
Okay.
So yes, the answer is yes, but not as many artificial ones. Oh, I got to cover digestion. One more thing I forgot, and then I'll open the questions again. Stomach is sending messages to the brain. Remember that? Half hour ago? Leptin? What I find in a lot of my patients, and in me too, if the stomach spasms and pushes up against my diaphragm, some of the symptoms I'll have is bloating, burping. But one of the symptoms I have is I won't feel full. I'll eat so much food, my stomach is bulging, and I still want to keep eating. Anybody ever do that? Not the only one? I've learned that when I do that, it means my stomach is spasm pushing up against my diaphragm. And I get one of my doctors, all my doctors, by the way, when you come into my office, you may see me, you'll probably see the other doctors as well. Handpicked by me, trained by me, and are my personal doctors. Nobody works in my office unless they take care of me. So you're in good hands with them because I wouldn't let them touch me. We had a lot of applications. And I turned down a lot of doctors. They want to work with me. And I said, no, I don't want to work with you. I don't want to train you because I don't think you're trainable. I take the ones I think that are going to be good. But if I'm hungry and I can't get satisfied, my stomach, I pull it down away from the diaphragm, the burping stops, the belching goes away, the acid reflux, and my appetite returns to normal. So if you have burping, gas, bloating, acid reflux, those are symptoms. It's telling you something's wrong. Fix it. It's just that simple. Get to the cause of the problem, don't just treat the symptoms. All right, more questions? Yes?
The acid reflux I've had all my adult life.
Yes.
Chronic.
Yes.
Doing that at nighttime. Anything I can possibly do.
Go to my website, read the article on GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. It's about a half a page long. By far the #1 downloaded article on my website, not even close. Nothing even comes close. And I get emails a couple of times a week from all over the world. People going, I Googled acid reflux or GERD, your website came up. What do I do about it? Read the article, explains how I do it. And then come in and let us fix it. It's very simple. And I tell you, man, when you fix it, I mean, people want to name their kids after you when you fix their acid reflux. And if you're taking the pills, the over-the-counter pills, that can calm down the acid, but the problem is you need acid. So, for digestion. So what happens is it also can prevent you from digesting calcium, magnesium, and vitamin B12. Taking the pills. So now you're going to nutritional deficiencies, which makes you what? Hungry. There you go, yeah. Another question over here, I saw her hand up. Go ahead.
You mentioned magnesium earlier about relaxing the blood vessels.
Yes.
Do you recommend supplements?
If you need it, and if you have a good diet, the answer is no. If you have a bad diet, probably yes. But the key is this, if you take it and you get diarrhea, you took too much. That's what they make milk of magnesia out of.
There's a couple, two like varieties. There's like nitrate.
Yeah, citrate, yeah. Magnesium citrate is okay. Okay? But again, if you're eating enough good food, you don't need it. Yes?
What about diverticulitis?
Diverticulitis, it's an inflammatory reaction. You just got to pull, it's every case I've ever had, the stomach is pushing up against the diaphragm. Pull the stomach back down, calm the body down by staying away from what I call the 7 deadly sins. Alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Stay away from them, the colon heals, open up the nerve supply. This is the key. I didn't even cover this. The nerves come from the spine that cover every cell in the body. So if you have a pinched nerve going to your arm, you may have arm pain. Pinched nerve in your leg, you may have leg pain. Pinched nerve to your spleen, your kidneys, your gallbladder, your stomach, affects your appetite, or your immune system. So diverticulitis, always check the nerves in the low back going to the colon. Check the stomach, see if there's any spasms in there. Get them on a good diet. In most cases, we get great results. Okay, you got to add that chiropractic component. That's the missing link to healthcare. Talk about, oh, how can I cut costs? I got to do this. Everybody has to have insurance, but the deductibles are so high. If you have insurance, you can't afford the deductibles. Blah 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 blah. It gets crazy. Believe me. My doctors and I said we used to talk about girls in sports. Now we talk about insurance and deductibles and who's not getting paid. And so it's like, what happened? And a lot of my friends want to retire. Chiropractors, medical doctors, surgeons, neurologists, psychiatrists. Every one of them wants to get out. I don't know anybody who's saying, man, I'm so excited to do what I'm doing right now. Because it's becoming so hard to deal with the bureaucracy of being a doctor. And so a lot of doctors go into cash, or they're just saying, I want to jump ship. So now, more than ever, you got to take care of yourself. Because I promise you, in 10 years, there's going to be the doctor shortage is happening now. I called it 5 years ago on my radio show. And the doctor shortage is happening now. So you really got to learn how to take care of yourself. Okay, yes?
Organic meat. If it is antibiotic-free, grass-fed, all that, is that classified as organic? Because I'm having a problem finding organic meat, and a lot of people...
It has to say organic. Organic means they were fed organic ingredients. They can be grass-fed, but what do they fertilize the grass with? You know? So that's why I have a problem. The word organic is the only word I trust.
Do you know of any place where you can get it?
I don't know. I don't eat meat. Can't help you there. Yes?
In one of your shows you talked about soaps.
Soap, yes.
What was the brand?
Castile. Castile's a liquid soap. I use it. The only soap I use anywhere in my house. It's in my shower, it's in my sinks, it's in my kitchen, it's everywhere. Castile soap is the one you want to use. Sir?
Yes, go back to the acid reflux thing. I notice when I eat a lot of fried food and a lot of, pasta and carbohydrates,
right.
I get it.
Yes.
But it's not an ongoing thing that happens.
Right.
With me, it just happens.
He gets it periodically when he eats a lot of fried foods and pastas and carbohydrates. If you're having the acid reflux, chances are the stomach needs to be adjusted or pulled back down away from the diaphragm.
I mean, can that cause a heart attack?
Well, indirectly, it wouldn't cause a heart attack. The stomach, the esophagus is a tube and the heart's next to it. But the same nerve that is a major controller of your stomach also controls your heart. It's called the vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S. So the vagus nerve, if it's being irritated from the stomach, can send an impulse over to the heart. I've had a ton of patients, myself included, that when their stomach is acting up, their blood pressure's through the ceiling. Pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm, the blood pressure drops. And I believe you're affecting the vagus nerve. Yes, sir? What is that?
Testosterone replacement therapy, if the estrogen's so bad, would you ever recommend?
Testosterone replacement therapy, not a big fan. And the reason I'm not a big fan is because if we're giving you an external hormone, your body stops producing the internal ones. So what I would look at if you lower testosterone is I would look at your adrenal glands. The adrenal glands produce something called pregnenolone. Pregnenolone becomes DHEA. DHEA becomes testosterone. If you're under stress, DHEA becomes cortisol, and that causes you to gain weight. Interesting. So I go back upstream. What are we starting with? Pregnenolone from the adrenal glands. Let's get the adrenal glands healthy. Then we check the nerve supply in the low back that goes into the testicles, and now we can start to increase it. And then there's also supplements like Tribulus you can take. That's the raw materials that the body can build testosterone out of. Instead of giving it an external source of testosterone, we give you the raw materials to make your own. Okay? Yes?
I'm concerned about pesticides being on raw fruits and vegetables. Is there a suggested way to cleanse them? Like
Yeah, how do you cleanse vegetables? The vegetable washes seem to work. You can buy the vegetable washes. It's like a liquid. You spray it on your veggies, and that seems to work. You can also use apple cider vinegar. Okay, and maybe a gallon of water to maybe a half a cup of apple cider vinegar. Rinse that off, and that's a good way. But eating organic, you're going to reduce your risk of pesticides dramatically. And organic's becoming a lot more popular than it used to be. 30 years ago when I started this, it was tough to be a vegan. Now it's so easy to be. I can go anywhere. I've never missed a meal. I go on cruises. I do conferences. They fly me out to places. What would you like? Just want to have a vegan meal? Restaurants are more than happy to make you a vegan meal at this point, so it's really easy to be a vegan. And I'm not asking you to be a vegan, but it's easy to do. And it's way cheaper. So, more questions? Yes?
When I'm laying flat on my back, getting an adjustment in
Yes.
the office or just at home, and then suddenly get up, I get nauseous. Somebody told me that could either be vagus nerve.
Could be a vagal response, so it could be the stomach, yes. And if you get dizzy, it's probably the adrenal glands. You have something called hypotension. She said when she lays down and sits up, she gets a little nauseous. Could be a vasovagal response, okay, which could be the blood vessel. Vaso means vessel. Could be being an issue. So we want to check the stomach. The nerve supply in the neck goes to the carotid arteries, which can cause a vasovagal response. Or you want to look at the adrenal glands, because the adrenal glands pump out adrenaline, so when you stand up, your blood pressure increases, so you don't pass out. So we got to check the adrenals and the stomach.
Okay, so just let you know the next time I'm in.
Next time you're in, remind me and we'll check it for you. Okay? Yeah, any of my doctors can check it.
Yeah.
Sir?
Good body cleansers over the counter.
The body cleansers, they're okay, the cleanses. The problem is you got to be careful, don't do them too often, because they flush out a lot of things. Your bowels should be moving 2 to 3 times a day. A day, not a week, not a month, a day. Okay? So if the bowels aren't moving, once you get on a good diet, I had a patient come in the other day, and a nice, attractive young girl, very thin, and she says, Doc, I would have bowel movements once or twice a week. But me and my boyfriend, we listened to you, we watched your videos on YouTube, we changed our diet, now I'm 2 to 3 times a day. Perfect. So what you're eating has to push food through. If you are stopped up, we have something called Dr. Joe's Intestinal Cleanser. This is not to be taken for a long time. Change your diet, check the nerve supply to the organs. Take one of these. If the bowels aren't moving the next day, take 2 the next day. If they're still not moving, take 3. Don't take more than 3. Trust me. I had a patient take 6 one time. Like, told her not to. So the over-the-counter cleanses are okay, but again, you got to understand it's a lifestyle, and the cleanse may jumpstart the lifestyle, but don't make that your lifestyle. Okay? But these are great to get the bowels moving. Yes?
Do you have what's your opinion on utilizing moringa seeds or moringa anything as a cleanser?
Oh, moringa is great. It's wonderful. Yeah. Anything, and I say this on the air sometimes. Anything that lives in a harsh environment is probably healthy for you, because it has to have a lot of antioxidants to survive. And when you eat it, you're getting good results from it. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Yeah. Yes.
The book you talked about, Dr. Friend of yours took her husband off of sugar.
Yes.
What's the name of the book?
Oh, for Alzheimer's?
Yes.
There's a book written by a medical doctor. I can't remember her name. It's called What If There Was a Cure?
Mary T. Norwood.
Who is it?
Mary T. Norwood.
Mary T. Norwood?
North Point.
North Point. Mary T. North Point. There you go. Great book. Her husband had Alzheimer's. She understood that too much sugar, the brain becomes insulin resistant, and the brain can't utilize sugar anymore, can't use glucose, the brain starts to shut down. She knew, maybe she listened to my lectures, I don't know, and she said, what if I gave him ketones, which is a secondary fuel for the brain? Great source of ketones, coconut oil. She gave him a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons a day, I think it was? Yeah.
Well, she started with 1 and then went to 2. And at each end of the day, and then went to 2 each.
Oh yeah, so 1 and 2. Yeah. And what happened was she monitored his progress, and he started getting better. So she wrote a book called What If There Was a Cure? And it's great because coconut oil is great. You should make that part of your diet, organic coconut oil, because the brain utilizes it instead of glucose as a fuel, which is great.
I have a question on that. How progressed was the patient that did that?
He was pretty far gone. How bad was he? He was
pretty bad shape. He
yeah.
Progressed. The book title is Alzheimer's Disease, What If There Was a Cure?
Alzheimer's, What If There Was a Cure? Right, okay, that's it. Thank you. Yes, I think.
Is a person with type 2 diabetes, would the Mastercans affect their body?
Got to be careful if you're type 2 diabetes doing a cleanse. I would want to monitor you on that one. Because your body is not receiving sugar, And now if you take all the sugar away, you may have a problem, you may crash. So I want, people with diabetes, I want to monitor them personally. Okay, yes?
What else can you get ketones from other than coconut oil?
Well, your body can burn fat to ketones. But coconut oil is a great source because it's already there for you. But you can go into something called ketosis, which is not good either. And the way you're in ketosis is your breath smells like acetone. It smells like alcohol. And I've been around patients going into diabetic coma. And I've had patients go into that state and they smell like they're drunk. So that's one thing I have to teach. I teach this if I'm talking to cops. When you pull somebody over, they may not be drunk just because they smell drunk. They might be going into diabetic coma. So fats will be converted to ketones.
In other words, what I meant to say is there anything else other than coconut oil where you can get ketones from?
Coconut oil is the best source. Olive oils, all the oils work well, but coconut oil is the best source. Okay?
Again, I'm only asking to clear up possible misinformation. What's your opinion on the charge that the fruits and vegetables that we eat today have a fraction of the nutrients that they used to have?
Absolutely true. The fruits and vegetables we eat today have a fraction of the nutrients your grandparents ate. I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but I remember tomatoes used to have juice. Remember that? Peaches were juicy. Yeah. Milk had, what was that, flavor? Remember that? So yes, it's a totally different ballgame we're living in today than we did. That's why the essential source is great, because it's concentrated fruits and vegetables with no sugar. The sugar's taken out too.
Gotcha.
Okay? All right, we're running late here. I'll take one more question if you have it, and then I'll tell you some good news. All right? I'll tell you the good news anyway. All right. If there's no other questions, before you leave, everybody's got homework. And Lori and Sharon will beat you silly if you don't do this, okay? They're tough, man. Don't mess with them. I didn't feed them all day. Everybody has a survey. I want you to do me a favor, because I gave you a lot of good information today. Fill out the survey and let me know what you thought of today's workshop. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And if you have any questions, you can add it there. On the bottom, I'm going to give you one of a couple of gifts I'm going to give you tonight. First gift, I can't imagine a more important gift than this one. If you'd like to come see me in my office, I'd love to sit down with you and discuss your specific health concerns. My office is about 3 minutes from here. How's that for convenient? Now, if you want to come see me, we accept the consultation is no charge, but if you do come in, there's a couple of rules. You make an appointment, show up, because for some reason people in my lectures are notorious for not showing up, and I'm going to be very unhappy with you. And number two is this. If you come in for a consultation and I think I can help you, I want you to be ready to start care. Don't come in and just yap, 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 yap. Oh, that was great, Dr. Joe. I love you, half hour of your time. Goodbye. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. I have patients that will take that appointment from you, I promise. If you don't show up, somebody else will.